Welcome everyone to a new gameplay series on Strategic Command World War I. And this is like a grand strategy game, similar to what you've probably seen before. The Making History titles, Commander of the Great War, if you've played Supreme Ruler of the Great War, any of those. It's kind of, for those of you familiar with Paradox titles, it's like a Paradox title, but one that would be set in World War I. So we'll be doing the traditional campaign. The Triple Alliance is pretty interesting. It allows you to play in the scenario where Italy honored their defensive alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary and actually joined the Central Powers. I really find this is an interesting one. I really want to play this. In fact, you know what? I'm going to. It doesn't make that big of a difference. In fact, it doesn't make any difference for a large part of the game. But it might be interesting a little bit later on to see how this plays out a little bit differently. Okay, I won't. I'll play the historical one just because I think that's might be more interesting for people. So we'll be playing as the Central Powers. I won't be giving the computer any bonus, or I would actually suggest for people just playing the game for the first time that you go with Novice, because it's if you haven't played any of the Strategic Command titles before, it's a new game to get used to, and I typically play on maybe even higher difficulty settings, but I found that starting off with Novice felt about right. Another thing that I strongly recommend for new players is to turn the fog of war off. When you see how the AI is moving, it'll kind of give you an idea of the things you can be doing. So I found that very helpful for learning. But I'll leave it on for this because I think it makes for a little bit more of an entertaining experience if we don't really know what the AI is doing. Another thing which I have changed is the unit experience medals. They have two options on how to show experience. They can put medals on it, or they can just show you the raw number. I prefer the raw numbers just because it gives me a little bit more information. I can make a slightly more informed decision. Another thing you can do is you can turn on NATO counters, but since NATO didn't exist back then anyway, I don't really have a preference one way or another, so I'll be using the normal 3D icons. Now this is our loading screen, and it says Britain declares war on Germany. Now this is from August 5th, 1914. The game starts on August 1st. So just in case you are unfamiliar, I'm pretty sure most of you are, but the way World War I started is with the assassination of Ferdinand, Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, by some Serbian terrorist group. And the reprisal, the reaction from Austria-Hungary was extremely severe. This screen is telling us that we can actually deploy our German forces basically wherever we want. And they say you can do this to strike hard in the west, move them to the east, or even help out with Serbia. Now, this is to simulate or to allow us to duplicate the idea that Germany had multiple war plans, multiple potential war plans at least, that they thought about enacting on the onset of war. And one of them, the most familiar, I'm sure that we're most familiar with, the Slitherine plan, was to attack through Brussels. And that's the one we'll be doing as well in this video. But they allow you to deploy your forces wherever you want. So if I wanted to, I could deploy these cavalry over on the east and maybe take a more Russian first approach. I actually strongly recommend you do not deploy them in the south to move against Serbia. Serbia should really be Austria-Hungary's battle, and that's how we're going to play it. So I'm going to deploy my cavalry here and here because with the Schlieffen plan, we really value mobility. We want to move as far into to France as possible. If you have the fog of war turned off, you'll actually know exactly what French units start. And there's no French units deployed at all in the north, behind Belgium. They will be mobilized the very next turn, though. So as soon as I hit my end turn, France gets their turn, and they will already have some units moving up. But until then, we have free reign, so we might as well get as far as we can. We'll deploy the artillery. There's not like a great place for the artillery. I typically deploy it actually in the south. I don't know what good it does me there. And what we're going to try to do is deploy 2 infantry on the front here to give the front lines of the French hell. So although it's not recommended that we advance through the Maginot Line, it is the Maginot Line after all, right? But we're going to still try to take advantage of a few units in the south border that are a little bit unprepared. So they're not entrenched. Now this is talking about our war in Serbia. Romania is the big issue here. If Serbia does well, Romania will actually start moving towards joining the Entente, which is not good. So we have to make sure that we take Serbia seriously, and I will. So don't worry about that. We can delay conflict with the UK. Basically, if we don't declare war on Belgium, the UK won't join the war for like a month. But you know, the Slitherine plan is going to make that a null issue very quickly. Last thing is we have Netherlands, and for those of you more familiar with World War II and not World War I, which is most of us, right? The Dutch actually stayed neutral in World War I, and in this, they actually are leaning pretty heavily towards the Central Powers, which is good because that means they'll actually give us some MPPs, military production points, I believe, but I'll just refer to it as points from here on in. Now we can go to diplomacy or hit Control D, Belgium, and declare war. And as soon as I hit close, UK, of course, is going to join l'Entente. But that's fine. This is all going according to plan. We were expecting this. Next thing we want to do is we want to push as far into far into Belgium, past Brussels, hopefully to all the way to Rheims if we can. Again, there's nothing really up here until the French get a chance to mobilize. So we want to take advantage of that as much as possible. Okay. Let's get this unit to go in first. 1 to 3. Found our lucky stars. Ooh. Okay, so that was a 1 to 4. That was quite good. Now this unit can keep moving. I think we will push them all the way down because their turn is basically done. There's nothing more we can get out of them once they have used their one strike. So we'll just move up the next unit, which is this one. And this should be the end of this. Okay, and they didn't even fire back, which is great. Now this unit still has 10 points. It has all of its strength available, which is very good news for us. What we want to do now is... there's actually several things we can do. There's certainly a unit in Brussels. So we don't want to move anywhere which will take us from one hex, which borders Brussels, to another. If that's the case, the enemy will get contact against us, and it's just not good. But I think we can move here and not have an issue. I think I might need to test this theory out. Let's try this. Okay, enemy contact. That does mean I think that they shoot back. 2, 1. Okay. So that's unfortunate. Which also removes our strike. Okay. Can you now move? No, you can't move anywhere. Alright, that's fine. So we'll move this one in as far as possible as well. Can you get there? No. So we'll move you in. You won't suffer from an enemy contact, but you will be able to counterattack a bit. Yeah. And that actually went worse than expected as well. Instead of a 1 to 2, which is what the game predicted, we had a 2 to 2. And don't you worry, I'll be paying a close eye on my on my RNG. Next, we want to move this cavalry as far in as possible. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have a unit which could move. I'm sure there's people in Verdun. Verdun has a level 6 entrenchment. That's the biggest I've seen in the game, which makes sense, by the way. But so let's just move this unit. Yeah, let's move this unit as far as possible, all the way into Rheims. Why am I doing that? Because I know that the French don't have any units here. I've played this game a few times. Now we can start to see the units. And you can still see that there's no units all the way around. So they have slightly higher scouting. I don't know if it shows it here. We probably could have moved them in first. So spotting on land is 3. If I moved them in, maybe we would have detected these Brussels and I wouldn't have eaten that 1 extra. So if you're doing this yourself, move this unit first. The other horse can also follow up. And the advantage of this is, so we can do 2 different things here. If we want, we can move this unit here and attack the unit in Brussels. They've already been weakened. That would be a very effective attack. However, it will leave this unit, this horse unit, a little bit exposed. The only 2 units which can attack it are these 2, but actually, the Verdun one is not going to leave Verdun. So 1, 2, it could definitely leave, like this unit, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So even this unit can move back and attack. So it's a little bit risky. Now this unit actually can entrench, which is great. And if you just right-click and entrench, or if you go down here to this shovel, you can choose the number of sides and which way you want to entrench. It does automatically choose the side it thinks is best for you, but you can override it. And I think that this would be best for us. Now, you can choose either 2, 1, or 3 sides. The manual says that 3 sides is just the best pick. So I don't know, I guess there's no advantage in like consolidating the front and putting the entrenchment only on 2 sides. I guess there is not an advantage to that, but I would have expected there would be, but apparently not. So we'll go ahead and defend from 3 sides. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and defend from 3 sides on this. And that'll give our weaker cavalry a better chance at counterattacking, or, you know, in general, just not taking damage from the French corps that are trotting around. So I think I am going to go with the attack here. Oh, we got 3, and we took 2. So that was still worse. I think it was predicting, what, 1 and 2, and 2 and 3 is a worse ratio still. I'm watching you, game. But Brussels is very easily going to fall next turn. Shouldn't be a problem at all. And what else do we want to do? I guess we'll move this unit forward because it's still 10. Yeah, this unit will move here because... Wait. We did it. Okay. The 10 is now in front, but unfortunately it's not able to attack this turn, which would have been great. Because it doesn't have a strike left anyway, because it's out of action points, probably. That's fine. So now we have several units who have moved pretty far forward. Let's move our HQ. So the way the HQs work, I think their command range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Apparently it's 5. So as long as you keep the units that are under your control within that command range, they get some morale bonus. Okay, we'll move this unit forward as well. Here. With the airplanes, they're not very useful. This is 1914, so airplanes are not terribly useful. We don't really need to move the rest of these forces forward yet. Let's actually go to the south, and let's face off against the Maginot Line. So I have deployed these 2 units here because I know that this unit is a bit exposed. 80% readiness, 80% morale. Although our readiness and morale is... Okay, this one's a little bit better, so let's do this one first. It says 2-3. Let's see if we can get lucky here. 3 and 2. No, exactly what we actually expected. I'll even try to use my my artillery once against this guy. I don't think it does anything. I didn't see any change on in readiness or morale or anything, but we'll do an attack here as well. 3 and 2. So just as expected. But we can now swap these guys. By holding shift, you can get this little arrow. And we can swap them to bring some other fresh troops up to the front. I think we might even be able to do that here first. It might be better to do it here first. Okay, let me think about this. Actually, I'm going to put a quick cut in the video here, just a quick pause of the recording so I can think about it. Alright, I figured it out. I have at least a plan. This guy can move all the way back here, and it's not that we want him all the way back there. We want people moving west, not east, but it's going to clear him out of the way just so we can move this unit in for a cost of only 1, and now we have a 1-3, which is great. We only got 2, and we took 1. Well, that was not good, but the good news is I think we'll still be okay. We can probably swap this unit in. Let's just move him back. Move him in. That should eliminate that unit, and it did. Still took 1 damage, but that's fine. Now, the reason why I want to move the horse in is because this is an HQ. And... oh, wow. They're actually strong enough that we can't do damage to them. Well, that foils that plan, and I'm an idiot. I didn't hit Control-Z first, so we're actually stuck with that. That's fine. We'll go ahead and attack this guy instead. 2 and 2, as expected. We'll move this guy right back in. We have other guys who can come up and do the attack. This guy can do it. -3, -1. So this guy can... not really... oh. So 2 and 2. So I think we just have to move 1 guy up, and then he can swap places. Okay, now we can do another attack. Good. 3, 2... but that leaves us with the cavalry, which hopefully can finish him off. Got him. So this is really where the benefit of doing all this was, that after all of that, we actually managed to severely weaken their southern front even. Now, I can't say that this cavalry is going to be long for the world. They're probably going to get their butts really handed to them. It's unfortunate, but it's probably true. Move some infantry up to hopefully discourage that. Yeah, these are very well entrenched and stuff, so we're not going to be able to do any damage to them. We'll just go ahead and entrench. I will choose two sides just because, I don't know, I don't think that there's a reason why we'll need more than that. Let's bounce this guy back out. Let's put fresh troops on the front, if at all possible. Oh. Oh dear. Okay, that's not what I wanted. We can only get to this guy if we force march, and that's going to put our readiness and morale really far down. Well, the only good news is only one guy can attack this guy right now. I'm sure that they're going to move the HQ out of Epinal, because it is weak to have an HQ on the front, as we'd all expect. What's more, they'll probably want another infantry in there, and then that will... I'm sure this guy's going to attack here. The fact that we eliminated 2 corps means that maybe they'll have to play a little bit easier on us, but I'm just not sure of that. So they're going to have their work cut out for them, in that they have to first react to the invasion in Belgium, and second they have to figure out what they want to do against us down here. So I don't know what this will do. They're at 75-70. Let's just go ahead and launch our other shell. I think we only get 1 shell next turn for doing this, but... So 74 and 68. It didn't do very much, but... You know, every little bit counts, I suppose. Okay, well, where do we want our cavalry to move then? I think we will move this guy here. In fact, what is your options? You could actually quick march to the front. Now, I don't like the fact, obviously, that this is going to lower his readiness and morale a lot. But it is going to put more units... Now, you know what? I cannot... I do not think it'll be the right thing to do. So let's just move him here. Move this guy here. Have him entrench. Yeah, we'll entrench all 3 sides. So I think it'll be fun just to see how they end up reacting to this very aggressive push in the north. Especially because we have left a very vulnerable unit down in the south. I don't want to lose cavalry, but you know, if it's this cavalry unit in place of losing some valuable strength on one of my corps, this cavalry is probably not going to be useful. As soon as the lines are formed, we'll probably even ship the cavalry off to the east, off to the Russian border, because you know, we're expecting this to be World War I trench warfare at some point. It's going to be a little while before it gets there, and we're going to try to exploit as much territory as possible. Take as much as possible as early as possible. Obviously, that's just obviously in our best benefit, especially if we know it's going to become like trench warfare. But, yeah, so that, I mean, that's why I think that the corps are much more valuable. We do also still have some infantry here who can attack, but, I mean, some cavalry, I should say, but what about forced march? Forced march can get this guy, yeah, only there. Notice you cannot move into zone of control with the forced march. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's probably better off to leave this guy in a position where he can advance far next turn, but not do it this turn. So I think I'm going to move him here. We have a lot of these units pretty far in the back. Just want them to start moving forward. This guy, move him here. This airplane, I mean, it's not a great place for them. Let's just make sure that, okay, let's move this guy and entrench him. Don't think we need that third side. I guess I'll do it just in case. Excuse me. The people in forts will automatically entrench. You don't even have to select it as an option. Would love to move that 8 out of there because I'm a little bit worried about him getting attacked. If I press H, I can hide the units and then we can see where the river goes. So yeah, this, if they move in here, they can actually attack this infantry unit without any problems, which is unfortunate. Now, I guess I'm not too worried that we move this 8 out because this unit will be entrenched. So it's going to be hard for them to if they choose to move up here, they can attack from the mountain, which I guess it will take 2. Oh, it's +2 movement cost to get in there. So they'll have to use almost all their action points to attack him from the exposed side. He's on a hill, so he has some defensive bonus as well. And I mean, I guess they might even just attack the artillery at that point, which, if I look at the properties, probably is not equipped for defense. Yeah, it only has a defense value of 1, but we saw already that this HQ has entrenchment of 2, which is better, yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I don't know then. We'll want to move these guys forward. Let's get this 10 to the front. And this 10 to the front over there. I like to keep people on the road, so I probably won't move this unit forward. In fact, that's Ruprecht. He's a really good commander. You probably should move forward, though. You actually have too many units, I think. Move you here. I don't like moving him off the road, but it made sense to move him there, I think. And then we have this airplane, which will just move down here. I haven't had any real effect from these recon bombers. If I look at their stats, yeah, they don't do any. They're not very good right now. Their attack values for bombers are 2, and strategic bombing is 2. I guess they can strategic bomb, so maybe we'll try to deploy them like that. I don't even know how to strategic bomb. Haven't done it. So that's good. This is a pretty good start to our turn. It'll be very interesting to see how the French react to that. Okay, so let's go to our Navy, I guess. We'll do things in order. Navy for Germany is really not going to do much. In fact, I would say that we're probably not going to do anything at all. We're going to keep destroyers and stuff nearby so that we can protect ourselves. But probably just mostly our dreadnoughts are going to just stay huddled together. And we'll want to scout a little bit to see where the enemy are. But we probably won't do that extremely aggressively. The British fleet just outnumbers us by an absurd amount. The Russians are going to be hard to attack because they're just going to deploy mines. So, although we do want to have like an aggressive presence against them, I might even go this far. We cannot undo naval movements, by the way, so I don't really want to push it any further. Maybe we can give him a Rune armored cruiser to support. Let's move like one guy up here. And maybe have a destroyer which also joins. Yeah, do something like this. The Eastern Front. We'll get to the Eastern Front. That's a special bird all of its own. Yeah, maybe we will be a little bit aggressive with some of our ships. I don't want ships which can sink. I don't want ships which can sink. Go figure, right? But I don't want ships which can be very easily sunk. So I actually want the dreadnoughts out here. Let's put them out here very aggressively. But I'm going to kind of... I just want enough scouting so that I can see what's going on. Maybe move this guy back up. Something like that. Okay, maybe like this. So we have a little more scouting information. Just want to see if there's any units moving by this way. Yeah, I think that's fine. And you know what? We'll move the von Moltke over there as well. Be over here. Okay, so we're just going to set up a picket line to see what units are moving this way. Hopefully, we'll be in position to strike if they decide to go to war. I mean, we're at war, but if they really sally forth towards us, we could have a very early Battle of Dogger Bank. So I'm kind of thinking, since we already like led off that way, let's leave the armored cruisers, the Fürst Bismarck. Fürst Bismarck. I don't know how to say this stuff in German, but still better in German than in French, if you could believe that. Send our dreadnoughts and all that to the west. And the Kolberg, yeah, we'll send the Kolberg out here as well. Part of our picket line. Okay, by the way, ships cannot be attacked if they're in port. You can bombard the port, but you're very unlikely to do any damage to the ship. More than likely, all you're going to do is take a lot of damage yourself. Well, that was my experience with it. It was not a very good one. Okay, so I mean, the focus on this game is not really on the naval side. You should be using your navy, but it's it's not very effective to do so. What I want to do is move all the way over here. Okay, enemy contact. That's a bummer. Did not really want to attack this thing, so we can attack that if I want. We do. The Austro-Hungarians have an okay navy. It's not terrible. If I can get a 7, you? I can get this guy over here. I think we'll dangle him as bait. And another 7? Yeah. I want to dangle these guys as bait and have the only really good ship I have, my Dreadnought, on standby to follow up. And then we'll keep some of these guys in port. Close by still. And that's my whole fleet. Yep, the Austro-Hungarians do not have a very powerful fleet. Kind of a bummer about my submarine losing its action points there without really doing anything. Yeah, okay. On to Serbia. So we can do some stuff in Serbia as well. What do we want to do? Well, let's just move things nice and slow here, one at a time. Okay, good. So we have our choice, 2-1, 2-1. This is a 2-0, that's not as good, because this is Belgrade, maximum entrenchment of 3. This guy's not actually entrenched yet, though. Might be able to do some damage. Move down here. Oh. Well, that wasn't good. So apparently you have to move one thing at a time in order to not have that problem. Yeah, let's attack this guy. Actually, let's move here and attack. Oop, undo. Don't know why that changed, but it did. We didn't do any damage to him, and he did 2 damage to us. Well, that was unfair. Okay, 2 and 2. 2 and 3. Boy, this is also unfair. Well, let's move back to Sarajevo. That was disappointing. All kinds of bad stuff is happening in Serbia. It's just like the real war, how it went for the Austro-Hungarians in Serbia. 2-on-1. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to reinforce, so let's just try to wear them down. 1 and 3. My God, come on. All right, I don't want to get annoyed, but too many of these little lopsided exchanges will be annoying. And I think a lot of our forces are going to be needed up in the north, so Russia has a pretty sizable army. They should be incompetent, but in this game they're actually not. I mean, the Austro-Hungarians were also supposed to be incompetent. So far they have been, so just hope that it plays out that way for the Russians against the Germans. Now, I think we'll go ahead and try to defend this and Tarnopol, because these are worth a lot of points, basically. So we'll go ahead and entrench here. And we'll move these guys into there and also entrench. I don't know where this attack would come from. I imagine it would come from those sides, so we'll move there. We have a few options about where to move. I think we'll move this guy as far... Wait, he's actually defending a town right now. Yeah. So we can move one guy into Krakow, one guy into Tarnow from this group, or we can move one guy into Krakow, one guy into Katowice, which otherwise will be undefended. Well, bummer. Yeah, I mean, we don't have enough forces to do everything we want to do. That's... Oh. Unless this unit defends Krakow? Okay, let's do it this way. It's not ideal, but... we want to try to defend all points along the front. Alright, he can't entrench, but you can get over... Oh, yeah, sorry. Space bar should be, yeah, there. That's what I want to do. So I want this guy to move as far forward, as far as he can, basically, because we're going to have, I think, a huge wave of forces over in the east. Same thing with this guy. He can't, though. We'll have him move here, and you will move into turn out. Okay, good. So that worked out okay in the end, I think. And you're entrenching. You will automatically entrench because it's a fortified town. I cannot even tell him to entrench. He'll just do it automatically. You didn't have enough movement points to entrench. You will entrench automatically. And you can actually move over here. I think we will move over here as well because we want to stop any incursion over here. So this guy will just automatically entrench. We'll want him to do that. This guy will not, so we'll have him entrench specifically. Now, I'm going to move this guy in Königsberg all the way down here. He's going to defend Johannesburg. By the way, this is Tannenberg. This is the site of the famous battle in the east where essentially World War I for the Russians was lost. They were just picking up the pieces after that. They did well against the Austro-Hungarians, but we all know well, many of us know the very decisive battle that went very, very, heavily against the Russians. So, how do we want to deal with this situation? I think I'm going to move one unit up here, have him entrench. We want to have him entrench where there's not a river. So there's hex, 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 river, river. So there's only one side that he's not, protected by, and that's okay. Memel, similarly, we're going to want this guy to entrench, although I don't expect that he'll need to use his entrenchment anytime soon. This guy, we're going to have him move all the way over to Johannesburg and hopefully just start building up some entrenchment there. Although he cannot entrench this turn, he has no action points. That's fine. And then now it's just left to you to entrench. Like so. And you honestly don't need to entrench for once on 3 sides. Just have you entrench on 2. So it's a very defensive game on the east until we get things looking a little bit better over on the west side, and then we can ship some forces east. Again, these fighters or these recon bombers, I haven't made very good use of them before. So don't hold your breath that things go well. I am going to be very aggressive and move my Marines and the Denmark forces off the front over here. They're much more needed on the French border, for now at least. Okay, well, I think that's actually this whole turn, which is also going to take us to the conclusion of this video. We'll definitely look at the turn and see what the French do first, but I don't know if there's anything more I can do, and I think that, I mean, so for example, we can move the Ottoman Empire units, the Ottoman army around, but there's no point in doing so. Let me just zoom out here, see if there's any other units I can control and didn't. No, I think I basically got everything. Okay, and on the first turn, you don't really have any points to spend on the new units or research. So that's it. Let's just go ahead and call this turn to a close. And fingers crossed that things go well. Actually, what I'm going to do is just put a quick jump cut in just so I make sure I can scan around and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, well, believe it or not, I did find exactly one unit that we had not moved yet, all the way over on the east. Maybe you had seen him. I missed him. This guy down here. Now, I have in the past actually moved forward and taken Proskorov with this. With the fog of war off, you'll see that there's no Russian units here right now. But when I did that, the next turn, or before the Russian turn even begins, they get like 4 infantry corps here. And that's just going to eat this guy for breakfast. So I'm going to instead move him over here. I don't know which one, I'll move him here. We're going to attempt to defend this area, so I'm just starting to build up the forces. Hopefully we get to the numbers we need. This guy might replace this guy in Krakow. We'll move, I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight. The Russian front is going to be actually probably harder than the French one for a little while. And other than that, I think we're good to go. There's something else, but I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, I did move one guy forward here. There was a guy over here, and I moved him forward, and then I moved the HQ forward as well. But let's just go ahead and end the turn. So good luck. Let's see how we do. So Luxembourg surrenders, no surprise there. Can we zoom in? Oh, we plundered 27 points, that's good. Okay, so we have a few choices here. The Goeben can be either given to the Ottomans or given to the Austro-Hungarians. Now, we want to bring the Ottomans into the war sooner, so we're going to say yes, give it to the Ottomans. When the Ottomans have it, we'll still be able to use it, and honestly, the Mediterranean fight is not like a particularly good one for us anyway. We don't want to be using our navy out there. Now, this is a pretty big decision. I have not chosen to deploy the Austro-Hungarian army, this like army that was supposed to deploy to Serbia. I have not tried to route them to the Russian border. And I think that that might even be a valuable thing. Now, you can always press the notes and see what the game says you should do. This just has, it doesn't actually give you advice in this one. It just says that when the Austro-Hungarians did try to route forces to the Russian border, it was total pandemonium and troops were like let off at the wrong train stops, and it was kind of a mess. I think that we'll go ahead and deploy them to Serbia, hoping that we've put enough forces already on the north to protect us against Russia. We'll see if that's true or not. Okay, the French are mobilizing. Russian mobilization. This is where they have all those units spawning in, which we may or may not be able to see. Oh, yep, we're able to see it. We're going to get some more units, which is really, really important, but not that many. I think we got 2 units, and they get like 4. They mobilized their Paris Defense Force, which makes sense. UK starts sending supplies to Russia. It's to be expected. So, for the next turn, we're going to just take a whole bunch of points. We're going to have a lot of points, which is great. Even the Ottoman Empire, which we do control, but they're neutral. So basically the same way the United States is neutral, but you can control them, and you know you're always moving towards the Allies in World War II. Same way with the Ottoman Empire in this one. Okay, the Russians are coming in. A lot of these things, when they go dark like that, that means they just entrenched for their turn. Oh my god. Oh my god, he straight killed me. Well, I did not expect that. I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. These dreadnoughts have a defense of 5, and the pre-dreadnoughts have a defense of 5. Okay, they are going to attack that unit as I expected. No, that went well for us. That was a 1-2 in our favor. Is that unit also going to attack? We don't know. It's promising that they only did that one attack, though. This guy was, I think, reinforced a bit, because he was down to like 2, wasn't he? And he didn't entrench, so we'll probably just continue to pester him. That's why it's really good if you can to completely eliminate a force, because it takes a lot less money to reinforce a unit than it does to build it from scratch. I believe, at least. And you don't have to wait. This game does have production delays, which is fantastic. Okay, they are attacking, and it was a 2-2. I don't think this cavalry is going to survive. That was a 1-3. Boy, I'm not liking this. 3-2. Okay, that was I don't mind 2. Okay, that is it. That's the end of him. And no attack. Okay, and they ended up taking it. Well, that's really aggressive too. And they didn't even take any damage. Okay, good. So 3 up. Ooh, 3-3. Okay, I'm fine with that. 2-2. Okay, yes. They're really needlessly losing troops into the front. So basically the way I would say it's gone, okay, -1, -1, -3. Okay, that's good. That worked out for us as well. More cavalry. Just took -2. They didn't do any damage to us. That's really good. I would say that the Western Front has gone well, and the Eastern Front has gone, especially Serbia, has gone poorly. Oh god, they took this. I had a choice to defend that or not. We did lose it. And the Russians are moving in. in force. So Eastern Front not going well, Western Front, we need a Tannenberg. We really need a Tannenberg. And there's the mobilization of the French forces, as I mentioned. And now they're going to start entrenching. Okay. Well, this doesn't look impossible, but it looks pretty darn difficult. And that's why I do recommend novice difficulty for people who are playing for the first time. And I do recommend as well that you play with Fog of War off, and you'll see a lot more. You'll have a, okay, Russian national morale falls due to the delivery of the Sultan Osman to the Ottomans. Okay, that's good for us. And that swings the Ottoman... Wait. Oh, the British decided to give the Ottomans the Dreadnought. That's the Agincourt. France increases its army production in the southwest. Yeah, that's a normal event. And that was the British Expeditionary Force we saw landing there. And we're getting a few extra units, which is good. We desperately need them. Fear of German raiders upsets trade from the British Empire. It's not really going to affect them that much. And now we'll see their point income, which is probably going to be a lot higher. In fact, I don't even know. Do we see it? No, I guess we don't. So unfortunately, the Erzherzog Karl Pre-Dreadnought was sunk, and our 3rd Cavalry Corps over here was destroyed. But I think that overall that turn went pretty well for us, because if you think about it, how many units we killed, we did very well. It's going to give us some strategic advice here about we can aid Austria-Hungary. Germany can send points to them if we want. And the same thing, Austria-Hungary can actually aid... wait, no. That's Russia who can aid Serbia. We don't want to aid Serbia. Alright, given our weakness in Eastern Prussia, we can deploy Paul von Hindenburg and his trusty sidekick Ludendorff. In fact, a lot of people credit Ludendorff for being the military genius of the two. But, I don't know, I've heard both sides on it, so... The only problem with that decision is it only gives us an HQ. Now, there's a huge number of refugees coming in, and basically, if we don't support them by paying points, we'll take a huge hit to our national morale. It's pretty worth it, I think, to just spend the points not to lose the morale, especially because the Austro-Hungarian morale is pretty finicky, or fickle. You can see this video has already gone over 40 minutes, but that's the conclusion. I really can't wait to begin the next turn. I feel like we're in a very good position. So we see the British Expeditionary Force. We see that Paris is being defended, but I think in the south they're pretty weak. We might be able to push pretty far. But until the next episode, that's going to conclude this one. Since it is the first episode in the series, if you wouldn't mind pressing the like button, I'd greatly appreciate that. I won't ask again later in the series. Just do that for the first video, just to increase the visibility on YouTube. And otherwise, I really hope you enjoy this series. I'm looking forward to it. For those of you who aren't familiar with my channel, I do reply to all the comments. I definitely read them and usually reply to all of them. So if you have anything to say, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I'll catch you back for episode 2. Until then, take care.